But we already have our very first Trump supporter of the day connected to the stream to have a conversation with us about why they're MAGA. I'm going to pass the mic to you this time if you want to respond to any of the things that I just said. In your reasoning, why the hell you still support him as president, that option's yours.
All right, sweet. So, as far as the Epstein stuff goes, I do find it hard to support that wing. I mean, we'll see what happens with all of the file release, if that happens or not. But like, just something that does kind of really quick. Something that does stick out to me though is that the files have been there for a really long time, and it seems like a little bit like your party's kind of just started to, right as soon as the government shutdown's over, like this is the new thing, and it seems like never-ending attacks on him, which I don't think worked, and like partly.
So you're saying that the Democrats are attacking Trump by releasing emails that Epstein sent?
I'm not saying that they're attacking him. I'm just saying that these files have been here for so long, and Democrats have been in office since they've been they've had the files.
This argument is outdated, okay? Because the way that this argument went at one point in time was if they indicted Trump to be guilty of anything negative, then the Democrats would have released them. Okay, you can't make that argument anymore, right? Because matter of fact, from the files that we've already seen from the House Oversight Committee, including things that I just went over, Bob, appreciate you for the motorcycle on TikTok. Okay, he is guilty of lying for the last 20 years about the nature of his relationship with Epstein and what he knew about what Epstein was doing. I mean, this is a larger political scandal than Watergate. 1,000 times bigger than what Bill Clinton did with Monica Lewinsky that inevitably led to Bill Clinton being impeached by the House. Okay, right? And it's just so insane to see so little people on the right care. Matter of fact, we know that Donald Trump has been lying to us for the last 20 years about not knowing what Epstein was doing, because according to Epstein, in a private confidential email to Ghislaine Maxwell in 2011, Donald Trump knew what he was doing with those girls.
No, yeah, I don't think it's a good look at all. So I'm not like someone who's going to come on here and just completely BS you and stuff. But what I'm saying though is that I think there's a lot of people that were and I understand he's obviously held at a different pedigree because he's the president right now. But I'm saying I think that ruling class leaders on both sides kind of knew what was happening. And I think it's all bad. So I'm all for the full release of the files.
That's the thing. You're saying that people on both sides knew what was happening. If they did, then lock them up. Like Bill Clinton, for instance. If Bill Clinton was involved with Epstein, I want Bill Clinton to be thrown in jail. If Donald Trump was involved with Epstein, do you want Trump thrown in jail?
Yeah.
Okay. So if Donald Trump was sexually exploiting little girls or naked adult women, would you?
I think president? I think that a lot of people on the Republican side would agree with that. Whether you might see it as much or not, I don't think anyone wants a guilty, true, proven pedophile as the president. I mean, there's very few people that I think would agree with that.
So now this is not directly referencing Epstein. It's referencing something else that Trump said. In 2005, he went on Howard Stern's podcast and he boasted about perving on the naked bodies of women and or underage minor girls at Miss Teen USA and Miss USA, saying that he would barge into their dressing rooms unconsensually to look at them with no clothes on, and he got away with this since he was the owner. He took advantage of that position of power. We've had 4 of the contestants at Miss Teen USA that competed in 1997 speak out and say this happened to them, as well as Miss Arizona, who competed at Miss USA in 2001, say that he barged in on her while she was naked, once again just reaffirming what he admitted to Howard Stern. Seemingly, this is exactly what type of action we would constitute as this predator character that Trump has. These are the actions that a predator would engage in. This is sexual exploitation. And you just said if Donald Trump had engaged in these actions with Epstein, that you would no longer support him as president. So do you still support him as president because he engaged in these actions at all, even if it wasn't with Epstein?
You're saying those quotes that you pulled up?
Yeah, we're talking about how Donald Trump sexually exploited the contestants at Miss Teen USA and Miss USA.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I don't know the full truths of that. The reason I support Trump isn't necessarily
you don't know the full truth of it? Do you want to hear the full truth of it?
I'm just real quick. I'm just saying that there's a lot of people on the Republican side that get kind of overshadowed by this devout love for anything that Trump does, but in reality, the stuff that's important to a lot of people is not so much obviously if those things are true, like those are bad things to say. I'm not saying that's not true,
but I can prove them true right now because it's a clip of Donald Trump admitting to it.
If you want to play it,
these foreign girls, Mr. Trump, in my country, we say hello with vagina. And
well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now,
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
like
everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
And I think when we take that, and then we also threw the fact that he knew his best friend was sex trafficking women and girls and said and did nothing, I think we come to the conclusion that this man shouldn't be president.
I think that if anything, like that stuff like that should honestly, like, obviously it's alarming. I'm not like supporting that, but what I'm saying is like that should be alarming to like just as much as it is to Republicans as it is to the fact that like there's a reason that someone who said stuff like that was able to be like the candidate on the other side. It's not just like none of this stuff like would have happened like 20, 30 years ago. I don't think. I mean, I'm not sure, but I'm just saying like there's reasons for people coming to power, like in New York City, like Zoran, for example. Kind of like I know people have drawn the comparison like to both sides on Trump. Zoran, like I wouldn't say that at all. But what I'm saying is that like the reason that MAGA was like fueled so much, in my opinion, is that if you really look at it, like
we're talking about your support for Trump.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So then my support for Trump, a lot of it is it's not necessarily like not wanting Kamala.
Also tie in how you said if Donald Trump had sexually exploited women or girls, you wouldn't support him as president. I just proved that he had. Make sure to tie that in at some point.
Okay. Well, I mean, I would say that a lot of people have said things before that they probably would want to take back, like including like I'm sure yourself and everyone like that.
Oh, we're not talking about what he said. We're talking about what he admitted to saying, the actions that he admitted to by saying these things.
What action are you saying he admitted to?
The sexual exploitation of women and girls.
So you think he did that?
That's what he said. He said he abused his position of power to allow himself to go into the private women's only space where there's naked people inside of that space to look at them when they're dressing with no clothes on. That's sexual exploitation. That's the abuse of the position of power over the abuse of the position of vulnerability that the women and girls were in. They felt vulnerable enough to take their clothes off because it was a private women's only space with no men around, only the other contestants. Then he abused his position of power to allow himself to go into that space unconsensually for the furtherance of like sexual gratification or the exploitation of power in the context of an unconsensual sexual engagement. That's sexual exploitation.
Okay, well, I mean, why was he not like criminally like charged or something? Like, you know what I'm saying?
I get asked that question every so often. No clue. Maybe it was a failure of prosecutors. Maybe it was a failure of like the criminal justice system wherever it occurred. And I think that's an issue. But I think that issue exists separately from the question, do we know that Donald Trump did these things? Because we obviously know he did, as he admitted to it, and the victim spoke out.
I would say like something that probably like harms a little bit of like what you're. I'm not saying that you're like a liar or anything like that, but the thing is like people don't really like people kind of get tired of like. I'm just in a reality standpoint. I'm not saying that it should happen necessarily, but people get tired of this. Like I really kind of wanted to talk about like policy. Like I don't really want to talk about all the dumb things Trump said. He said a million dumb things. Well, like that's just the facts.
I'll clarify this for a second time. Okay, I'm not really too focused on what he said. I'm focused on the actions that he admitted to in what he said.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, I guess I'm not going to say that I think that Trump looked at a bunch of naked women unless there's like charges brought up against him. I mean, that's just a hard thing to.
Well, the proof is that he admitted to it.
I understand the clip that you showed me, but I'm just saying
listen, I think that clip proves he did it. Why am I wrong?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I'm a little bit like I've never even heard of any of this before. So I'm kind of like thrown off guard a little bit. Like I'm not really sure all the details of what he's talking about. I mean, I don't know why it wouldn't have been like sounded like in the audio you played like the people around him. Like I don't know who was that. Patrick Ben-David interviewing him.
No, that's Howard Stern.
Oh, Howard Stern. Okay. Well, I don't know why it was weird. It didn't seem like it was like a super alarming thing at the time. Like I'm not saying the clip was like
it wasn't. It wasn't alarming to anybody that sat down in that room because they're all sick. Howard Stern's not an angel.
Well, no, I know that, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know.
Have you ever watched a Gideon video before?
I have, yeah.
Okay, and you watch a Gideon video when he's doing his like pred catcher, right? He's able to talk to them and get them to feel comfortable to admit what they've done in an unalarming way. Have you seen that? He'll make them feel accepted. He'll make them feel invited, and he'll make them feel as if he doesn't think that what they did was necessarily wrong. Which, like, it's an ethical complication of its own, but in all reality, the fact that Gideon approaches them with this on camera gets them to admit to these actions, so then he could take that to the cops and get them arrested. So, regardless of the ethical complications in Gideon's approach here, it ultimately promotes an environment to get these P3DOs to admit to being a P3DO, so then the cops have damning evidence and they can't not arrest them, okay? Right? And that's exactly what Howard Stern was doing to Trump. Howard Stern wasn't doing it for the same reasons Gideon was doing it. Howard Stern wasn't doing it because Howard Stern's a good person that wanted to be able to prosecute Trump. No, Howard Stern was promoting that environment to allow Donald Trump to admit to these things in an unalarming way, because Howard Stern seriously didn't see the actions as alarming. Okay? Right?
Okay,
so
but
I don't
you-
think that you just simply pointing out that he seemingly talked about these things as if they weren't wrong, right, is sufficient in justifying that they didn't happen, considering the fact that that is exactly what the P3DOs do with Gideon and Chris Hansen.
Okay, let me ask you this. If you think you have such concrete evidence right there of Trump committing sexual assault
I
or
don't
whatever,
like
why
those
would-
words. If you think you have concrete evidence, I do. It's his own word.
Okay, so why don't you send it to?
And if
Why don't you send it to like a state prosecutor?
Do you agree
right
that
now?
that's concrete evidence?
I mean, I don't, because if it
Why is that?
why would?
Wait, why is it not concrete evidence? I don't want to hear, but if it were, I want to hear why it's not. Okay, tell me why Donald Trump directly admitting to engaging in these actions. Once again, I know that we play this clip every single day, and if you're a frequent viewer in the stream, you're probably tired of hearing it. Right now, it's so incredibly relevant, especially learning yesterday that Donald Trump spent hours alone with a sex trafficking victim at Epstein's estate and knew exactly what Epstein was doing and didn't care, right? Just listen to what he said. He said, this is what I will do. Like, we could break it down, dude. We could break it fucking down.
Of the pageant, it's your obligation.
Let's break it
to do
fucking,
that.
let's break it down.
So you have done that. Now, tell
Well,
me
I'll
what
tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and
He starts off by saying that he does do this. I'll go backstage before the show. I do this thing.
everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm
No men are anywhere.
allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant. And
I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant. That translates to I allow myself in.
therefore, I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
You're like a
everything is
doctor.
good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes.
They're standing there with no clothes. They're naked.
Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible looking women.
Yeah, he went in there to see how incredible they look because he thinks that they look good with no clothes on.
And so I sort of get away with things like
And even he knows that it's wrong because it's unconsensual. Then that's why he says that he gets away with it. Like, obviously, this is concrete evidence. Obviously, this is a direct admission of guilt. And obviously, you don't have a counter argument against that. Think of it, dude. Use your brain for the first time in like a while. Okay? You just heard him admit to these things. There's absolutely no way that you could then turn around and say that it didn't happen, especially considering the fact that in 2023, a court adjudicated that he raped E. Jean Carroll, especially considering the fact, right, that he's hit on 10-year-old girls, including his daughter, especially considering the fact that yesterday we learned he knew exactly what what Epstein was doing to those girls, and he didn't care. He didn't report it to anybody, and he even spent private alone time with a sex trafficking victim alone at Epstein's estate for multiple hours, considering the fact that he's now, right, calling it an act of hostility to vote against the release of the Epstein files in Congress, considering the Access Hollywood tapes where he said you could just grab them by the P word, you don't even need to ask first. Okay, considering, right, the other clip where he said he doesn't even think that it's wrong for boys to get raped by their teachers if they like it. Okay, like obviously, okay, this clip alone is enough, but when we then bring up all the other facts of him, his characters, prior actions, prior best friends and engagements, so on and so forth, it only makes it more clear.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this earlier to you before, though, but I'm not, like, I've never been a supporter of, like, the way he's conducted himself. Like, never. So, like, there's nothing, like, this stuff's not really, like, changing me. I get he's probably not a great person. Like, I don't think any politicians are. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, does that make any sense?
So rape and sexual exploitation aren't a red line. So why do you support Trump?
I'm not okay. Well,
No, man.
he
Sorry.
wasn't-
If you want to further this debate, you can't contest that because it's true. Okay, right? You're telling us that
He-
you still support Trump, even though these things are true. Rape
Well, he
and
wasn't
sexual
convicted of
exploitation.
rape. He wasn't convicted of rape or sexual
He
exploitation.
was actually found guilty of rape by a civil court, and you just heard him admit to sexual exploitation.
That's a criminal crime, though. Why was it in a civil court?
because the statute of limitations had ran up in the criminal court.
Okay, well, I mean, I've also heard things like she was asked in the courtroom and didn't know what year it happened.
Okay,
I mean, there's
well, then you were lied to because she said late 1995 to early 1996. That is a year,
There's-
just like 11:30 to 12:30 is an hour.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, what I wanted to talk to you about in general was just the policy of Trump versus.
Yeah. So rape's not a red line. Sexual exploitation's not a red line. We'll
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that that's. It's not. I'm not
Yes,
saying
yes,
it's
you
not.
are. Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. I'm
Yes,
just
you
saying
are.
that I'm
Do you
not.
know what a red line is?
Yes.
Yes, a red line basically says, right, if this actor had engaged in said action, then you'd stop supporting this actor. Okay, obviously that's
Yeah.
not the case when I prove that he sexually exploited women and girls, and that's not the case when I prove that he was found guilty of rape in a criminal court.
Okay,
I'm giving you the opportunity, right, to talk to me about policy. I'm giving you the opportunity to give me the reasons why you support him as president, because that's also what I want to be able to address, right? But
Okay.
like, I'm not going to give that opportunity to you, right, if you contest that rape and sexual exploitation is not a red line, because that is the inevitable conclusion here.
Yeah. I'm not contesting that. I'm not contesting that.
Yeah, which is
I'm
insane. But why do you support
Wait, no,
Trump?
well, no, I'm saying I'm not contesting that it's not a red line.
Okay, if it
Like,
was
I'm
a red
saying
line,
it
then you
is.
no longer be a Trump supporter right now, and it would be completely unneeded to even discuss this policy.
Well, okay, but I won't. That's the reason I came on to talk to you about that.
So I just want to clarify. You're no
I'm just
longer
saying,
a Trump
I
supporter?
think there's-
So you no
I'm-
longer support
listen.
Trump as president, but you still want to talk
No,
to me about some of his
like,
policy?
listen, I'm not saying that you're 100% wrong. I'm just saying that I would kind of need more people than
More people
just
than
you
Trump
want-
himself. Yeah.
more people than you on a live stream.
No,
Like, there's a lot of
it's not
prosecutors. There's a lot of judges
It's
in the
not
world.
me. It's Trump. It's a clip of Trump admitting to it. It's not just Dean saying it. It's actually just Dean playing a clip of Trump admitting to it.
Okay. I mean, if you want to move on and talk about something else,
Exactly, because you can't contest that. You're just going to deny it belligerently. Yeah, sure.
I'm
so why do you
not.
support
I'm
Trump?
not. Yeah, exactly.
Wait.
I'm
Why?
saying that that is-
Why would a prosecutor? Why would charges be required if he's already admitted to it? Just to know that he's done it.
I'm sorry. So you're saying that there doesn't need to be any further proof other than the clip you
exactly.
showed.
That's precisely
You
what I'm
can-
saying. It doesn't require any further proof to demonstrate that he's done it. Yeah. We don't
Okay.
need
I
any
mean,
further proof.
I would say it probably would. I mean, that's like
Okay,
that's
what further proof? What further proof would we need?
like a trial or anything of that sort. Like
Okay, think about it this way: if your best friend came up to you and he told you that he raped a girl at a party last night, right, and then that woman came to you and she said that he raped me at this party last night. Very similar to what Donald Trump said. I walked on them naked, and then Miss Arizona and 4 contestants from Miss Teen USA said he walked in on me naked. Right? Would you believe your friend?
I mean, yeah, probably.
Okay, so then it's enough proof.
Okay, I'm just saying that
Why would you need a trial for your friend but not for Trump?
I would. Well, okay.
Sorry,
so
why would you need a trial for Trump but not for your friend? In order just to understand that they did it.
Well, because there's been a lot of stuff put out about Trump. Like, you can agree with this, negative media, all that stuff. Some of it's justified, some of it's not.
What
I'm
does
just
any other
saying-
negative media have
I'm
to do?
not 100 I don't know.
What does other negative
Listen.
media have to do with the fact that Donald Trump
Because-
told you he did this and the victims told you he did it to them?
It's just because I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying I haven't heard the victims say that. I haven't I'm just saying I'm not like ready to go out and just completely say that this is true.
So you haven't. You say you're now saying that you haven't heard the victims see that because you're refusing to do the research. So what about this? What if your best friend came up to you and said, "Hey, at this party last night, like I raped a woman." Would you believe him?
I mean, I don't think I have any friends that would do that, but so I just want to start off by saying that. But I mean, I guess. I mean, I don't. I mean, that's such a weird situation. I mean, to bring up, really. Like,
So if they walked up to you and they said, "Last night, I was at a party. There was a drunk woman in this bedroom, and what I did is I allowed myself into that bedroom and I raped her, and I kind of got away with that." Would you believe them?
would I believe it if they came up to me? I mean, again, I don't know. It's a hard thing to say. I've never been anywhere near that situation. I guess I would.
Listen, neither have I.
I would really. I would
neither
hope they
neither
didn't.
have I. Neither have I. I've never been near that situation either. But what I could tell you is, if I was in that situation, I would absolutely believe what they're telling me. Likely turn around and, well, not likely, definitely turn around and call the cops.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Okay, so we could agree, right, that if your friend came up and told you this, that you would believe them. So what's the difference between your friend coming up to you and telling you that he raped a woman at a party last night, and Donald Trump going up to Howard Stern and saying that he sexually exploited women and girls at Miss Teen USA and USA, and then you being able to hear that conversation since it was recorded and publicly broadcasted live?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, I think that's a fair point that you're making.
Okay, so now you are able to agree, right, that we have more than enough evidence to prove that Donald Trump has done these things, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So you said that was a red line earlier. So I've done my job successfully. You're no longer a Trump
Okay.
supporter?
Yeah. Okay. Sweet. Can we talk about some policy really quick?
So I just want to make sure that I've done my job successfully. You said that you agree he did these things. Earlier you said that if you did believe that he did do these things, that you no longer support him as president. So let me just make sure you are no longer a Trump supporter, correct?
I'm saying you brought the comparison between if my friend said that and Trump said that. I'm just saying I would like to, outside of this, have a little bit of more like research into it just before I go and say that like publicly. I'm not
sure.
100%.
What other research do you think you need to do?
Maybe look into like the accusations. Watch more of the clip. I don't know. I'm just telling you, like, I want to just talk about some other stuff. Like, if you don't want to, that's fine. But I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I'm not just gonna go out and
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna come to the conclusion that rape and sexual exploitation is not a red line to you. If you contest that, then we will not move off of the subject. If you don't contest that, then you could tell us what Trump policy you're a fan of.
Okay, yeah, I've told you. Okay, yes, I completely think that that's a red line.
Okay,
I'm
so
just
then we
saying.
can't move off the dude. Then we can't move off the conversation.
No, I totally agree with you.
Okay,
we're in
so
agreement.
then you're not a Trump supporter anymore.
Okay. If that is more publicly found to be true, not more publicly.
Wait, but I thought that you've already agreed that we have more than enough evidence for this. You can't even tell us what other evidence would be required. Denials, not just a river in Egypt. It's something coursing through every brain cell in your head right now.
I'm saying that if this is true, and the Epstein files and all of this stuff
but
is
it's not
true,
a question on if it's true. I just proved it true.
Okay, well, I mean, I feel like if that were true, there would be more of
feel
an
like if that
uproar
were
about
true.
it.
Oh, people. Okay, think about it this way. People are like you. Trump supporters are like you. I just proved that it's true to you. Are you causing an uproar?
I'm saying
Exactly.
I'm not sure if it's true.
Exactly. I just proved it to be true to you. You are not causing an uproar. That's why there's not an uproar on the right. They're like you. No.
As soon as it becomes,
They're like you. You can't say, right, that, oh, well, there would be an uproar when I prove it to you. You don't uproar. Therefore, there wouldn't be an uproar from the right. You're a sheep. You're a sheep. Okay? Just say that you don't believe it because you're a sheep. Say that you don't believe it because you reject your own cognitive faculties, right, to praise the almighty Trump. Say that you just don't care. That's also a likely outcome here, right? You would rather act like it didn't happen, even though I proved that it has and you have no counter argument, than just take the mask off and admit that you don't care, because denying that it occurred makes you incredibly harmfully ignorant. Accepting that it occurred and saying you don't care makes you a threat. You will prefer to be labeled, right, as incredibly ignorant over a threat. Therefore, you will baselessly deny it compared to admitting that you just don't care. You'd rather be called a sheep than a threat. Okay? So maybe that's why we are where we are.
Yeah, no, my only thing I'm trying to tell you, I'm really not trying to seem like a sheep or whatever, like whatever you're trying to call me. I'm just saying that I would just want to see something like more verified, I guess. I understand.
What's more verifiable than his own admission?
Dean,
answer that question. Give me an example of something that would be more verifiable than his own admission of guilt.
I'm really just, I mean, maybe
exactly.
that's,
You can't even give me evidence that you want to go and look for that would be verifiable to a higher degree than his own admission of guilt?
The court of law.
What would the court of law be verifying?
I mean, so
What would the court of law be verifying? Keep in
I mean,
mind, you don't even trust the court of law because you don't trust the civil court that determined he was guilty of raping E. Jean Carroll. But what would the court of law be verifying? His admission. The court of law would just be ensuring that it was actually him on that video clip, right, over the course of 12 months. Pretty much. Pretty much. That's what they'd be doing, okay? Right? That's what they'd be doing. Do you contest that that's him on that audio clip?
no, I don't.
Okay. So then guess what? All of a sudden, you have now verified it to the same extent a court would.
Okay, all right. So, I hear you. I understand what you're saying. I do. I'm not saying I don't. Like, I'm not.
What
trying
kind
to
of
stick up
evidence
for
do
that.
you need?
But that's not. That's not what.
Confirmed.
Listen.
What more evidence do you need beyond a confirmed admission of guilt?
I'm not trying to stick up for him on
Answer.
this.
No, I want a very specific answer to my question. What more evidence do you need beyond a confirmed admission of guilt?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I agree.
So then you agree that he did it.
I don't necessarily know, like,
Exactly.
I don't know the details. I'm just saying I know he said a lot of stuff like this, and that's not what I support about him, and I never have. So
Do you agree that he did what he? Let's start here. Do you agree that he did what he admitted to in that clip?
I'm not sure. I mean, I would think there's a good chance. I wouldn't say I'm not 100% sure.
So
It's
why
just not
would
something
he
that I'm,
say
like,
that?
an expert
Why
on.
would he say that he sexually exploited women and girls? And why would the women and girls say that he sexually exploited them if he didn't sexually exploit them?
Yeah, I mean, you're making a lot of good points. I'm not saying you're not. You could be right, but I'm just saying.
Can you actually answer the question? Because that
Why
wasn't
would he?
that wasn't a
That's
point.
what
That wasn't a statement. That was a question.
Okay,
Let me get that clear. Not a point, not a statement, a question. Why would he say he sexually exploited these women and girls? And why would the girls say that he sexually exploited them if he didn't actually sexually exploit the women and girls? Not a point, not a statement, not a question. Answer it.
I'm agreeing with you and saying I don't know.
You don't know. So do you see how ridiculous that is to suggest?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you agree that he did it.
I've been saying this for 20 minutes.
So then once again, do you agree that he did what he admitted to in that clip?
I'm not 100% sure. Like,
Why?
that's the
Why
thing.
not? Why not?
Because I just have a hard time believing that you would be the first person to discover this.
I'm not the first person to discover this. You're saying that your own ignorance is your justification, that it's unlikely that he did what he said in that clip? You're delusional, Jacob. Leave my life. Leave. Exit. Thank you. All right, moving on to the next guest. He literally left when I asked him to. Let's go to move on to the next guest.